We just knew that the devil was busy. He was really, really busy trying to hinder God's work, and couldn't believe that a person would actually want to burn church buildings.
My name is Frank Malinak. I'm Special Assistant to the Chairman of the Texas Ranger Association Foundation. And today we have with us retired Assistant Chief Bryant Wells of the Texas Rangers. Bryant, welcome.
Glad to be here, Frank.
Yes.
I started out way back as a patrolman for the Navasota Police Department. Was there until '95 when I made Ranger, went to Brenham for a year, and then transferred to Huntsville. Decided it was time for me to go back home. And so we retired after almost 33 years. In Henderson County, Ranger Michael Adcock started working, got involved in some cases of a couple of churches that had been set on fire over there. That later grew to about 3 churches that we understood had been burned in that county. And then as time went on over the next few days and couple of weeks, there were additional fires that occurred and were identified as arson over in the Smith County and Van Zandt County.
Came with the National Response Team for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, also referred to as the ATF. Now with a local and national team working on the case, as well as local police, the Department of Public Safety, and the Texas Rangers, the hope was to quicken the process of going through evidence found at the 4 fires being investigated at that time.
We did look at, you could look at their backgrounds, both of these young men, and they were both early 20s, I think late teens. They grew up in church. Both had gone to Baptist church and been Wheeler together. I think that's how they initially became friends. And I think Jason Bork especially, he was from a broken home. He'd been living with his grandparents, and one of his conditions on living with his grandparents was, they were forcing him to go to church. And I think he had some resentment as a result. We ended up with a total of just over 40 Rangers that worked on that case. What we began that night was we put units on the road. We mapped out churches, and we started the process of trying to heat up the roads and heat up the churches, so that anybody who was going to try to burn one of these churches was going to have a hard time, not running across law enforcement in the process.
They're doing church fires here, here, and here. They must live somewhere in the middle.
Arson wasn't the only crime committed 10 years ago by Jason Bork and Daniel McAllister, the 2 men responsible for burning down 10 churches in East Texas. Electronics and musical instruments were also stolen.
We recovered a couple guitars, and were able to identify at least one of them as having come from Lake Athens Baptist Church.
A video camera was also found at a pawn shop in Tyler with a wedding on it.
Because the wedding was still on that when we recovered the camera, we could tell what church it came out of.
And when that property got identified, because I think it was mostly it was just musical instruments and stuff that was taken out of the churches. And I think once information started coming in about them being in possession of property taken from the churches, that's when we really knew these are the right guy. They were both charged with multiple counts of arson on this, and they both received multiple life sentences. I think Bork received a life sentence or 2 more than McAllister. There's nothing that makes your chest swell more as a Ranger as watching other Rangers do their things, and you go, wow, those guys and those gals, they do great work. It was one of those things that I'll carry with me from now on, the way I felt and how proud I was.